everything looks important.
Easy guys, Pete from Roadblock TV, and you may have noticed I'm standing here next to some 14-inch Saxo VTR wheels for the Saxo that we do not own. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that we tend to buy things quite randomly, and these appeared on Facebook Marketplace literally down the road for 40 quid. Now, I'm pretty confident that if I can refurb these wheels back to a decent standard, there's a profit to be made there. So in essence, that is today's video. Can I buy, refurb and sell on some Saxo VTR wheels to make a profit? Now, these wheels actually did come to me in pretty decent condition. They don't look it because of the terrible respray that it's had in the past, but actually the wheels themselves aren't cracked, aren't bent, and I honestly think these will come up lovely, to be honest. I've already been over them with thinners and the power washer. I was sort of hoping it might take the paint off. Took a little bit off, but not a lot, so it is going to be a sanding jobby. And two of them did have tyres on as well. So last night the first thing I did was get in here and rip the bastards off. That was something that should have taken half an hour. Roadblock styly, it took me about 2.5 hours. I had to saw the bastards off in the end. There we go. So yeah, he doesn't love a Saxo. Let's see if we can bring these wheels back to life. We're going to be mostly on GoPro today because it is just me filming. This is the Hero 9, so hopefully it doesn't look too shabby. But effectively, I just need to sand these back. And you don't want to watch me do that for the next 4 hours, so I think it's time for a time lapse. That was a bit of a graft, I'm not going to lie, but the first wheel is well on its way, and it's looking way better. Let's just compare that to how the rest of them are currently looking. Yeah, that probably took about 1.5 hours, 2 hours overall. I started off with the hand sandpaper, realised I didn't really want to be doing this for the next 5 years, so whipped out the old Chinese orbital sander, but I made sure that I was using a really fine grit on that, so I didn't go with anything that was going to gouge it out, because I'm really a bit conscious when I'm putting pressure on that it could damage the metal. So that made a big difference getting off the bulk of it, and then I just went through it with the hand paper and got sort of the curves and the bits that the orbital sander couldn't get to. So 3 more to go, and I'm thinking what I'm going to do is do one a night, because it's probably about 2 hours per wheel, and I've not even finished this one yet, but I'm going to probably do a wheel a night for the next 4 nights, and then get on to the next stage. 1 day later.
The next day.
Night 2, wheel 2. Night 3, wheel 2 still, but we're nearly there. Baltic, but we've got 3 out of 4 wheels done, and I've got to be honest, they've come up an absolute treat in comparison to what they were like originally. Look at the state of this. They just look really manky, don't they? But 3 out of my 4 wheels are now in a pretty decent condition. All 4 wheels are now sanded back to the metal. It is just this one side here, which is what we're expecting, and it's really not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think I can actually sand that out by hand, to be honest with you, and then fill it in. Now, I will be using E-Tech alloy wheel putty. It's got aluminium in it, it's supposed to make a really strong bond, and I'm only going to be using a tiny bit anyway, so it's not like I'm going to be filling these rims with Bondo. It's just one wheel that's getting a wheel filler. But the rest of it is just a case now of taking the Dremel to the areas that have been hard to reach by hand, and then going over it with a finer grit so I can get it completely smooth, ready for a prime. So grafting, but you know, it'll be worth it hopefully. Okay, so this is the wheel that needs a little bit of filling work. So I've got my E-Tech filler. It is actually only very, very slight little dings around the edge of the wheel, but it's shapeable and sandable after 1 hour. It takes 24 hours to dry fully, so I can fill this one in and I can hopefully prime the other wheels now. Okay, it is primer time. The wheels have been completely prepped, they've been degreased, they've had an alcohol wipe down just to get rid of any moisture that's still in there, and we're now going to be going over it with, you know us, Halford Special etch primer, obviously because it clings to metal that little bit better. So it's just going to be a matter of completely coating this a couple of times, letting it dry, and then flattening the actual primer back before it goes for the full respray. So 4 wheels to primer. Alright, well that was a f***ing graft. We're finally at the fun stage. I've got 2 out of our 4 wheels here to go, the other 2 are inside. I'm limited by space unfortunately, but these have both been primered, they've both been flat back. They've actually had more than 2 or 3 coats now because it just, every time I flat it back I kept seeing little bits of metal underneath, so it is all in a prep with this sort of thing, as I've learned in the past, so it's just worth taking a bit of extra time. The annoying thing is it takes an extra 24 hours to dry every time I have to do a little bit of priming. So anyway, we're finally at the stage, we're finally at the fun part. Now, what I'll be using today for these, and the link for all of these products will be in the description, is Simoniz acrylic wheel paint in silver. Big toss-up whether to go steel or silver, but I think silver will hopefully give it a nice shine and look a little bit more like it did OEM as well. So I'm going to do 2 or 3 coats of this, really, really light coats, about 20-30 centimeters away in smooth movements, shaking it in between. Should take about 15 minutes to be ready for another coat, but what is really handy actually is the actual cans of my etch primer have created quite nice little wheel stands. They fit perfectly into the wheel hub at the back. So spray both of these, wait a couple of hours, flip them over, do the insides, and then I'm going to be taking them inside to dry at room temperature, because even though I've got my massive fire hazard on over there, that'll be turned off when I start spraying, and I don't think freezing cold winter temperatures is ideal for curing metal paint, is it really? So let's get cracking. I've been waiting for this for 2 weeks now. there we go. They've turned out an absolute dream, I'm not going to lie. I've completely lost track of where I did the filler, which is a good sign. I cannot tell where that was at all. This was about 3 coats, maybe 4 in the odd spot, and that took, do you know, it didn't even take 3 cans, that took about 2.5 cans of that metallic spray paint, so I'm over the moon with that. One thing I will say is even with 4 coats, you can still, with the metallic paint, pick up any imperfection on this, like the smallest thing. So there's the tiniest little dings on the odd wheel that I've just missed because, to be honest with you, I was losing the will to live. It's not the end of the world. These are what they are. They've not been professionally powder coated. This is me with a rattle can, so I'm not going to be asking top dollar for them anyway. But for track use, for road use, whatever these end up getting used for, they're going to be more than enough. And damn sight better than they were originally. That's what I have to keep reminding myself. Doesn't matter if they're perfect. These were f***ing awful when I first got them. But we're on to the final stage now, and it's literally then listing the bastards. So, final stage involves a clear acrylic lacquer. Now, I'm not going to be covering the whole rim, it's literally just going to be the fronts, then I'm going to flip them over and I'm going to do the insides as well so it looks nice and sort of shiny as you look through the wheel. This shouldn't take that long, should be nice and easy. It's just about letting it dry properly and making sure it doesn't get any imperfections in, and obviously you can polish it up afterwards. So this will just give it the nice sheen that you get off the new rims. If you're new to clear acrylic lacquer, this is how it's going to work. We're going to do a very, very light layer, almost a dust layer, just to give it something to grip to, give the next layer some adhesion basically to the wheels. Once that's about 15 minutes dry, still tacky, we're going to go over it with a slower, heavier layer. Not too slow, because then you risk getting runs, but what that's effectively going to do is just really put a sheen on the wheel, and you'll hopefully start to see that straight away. Once we've done that, we're going to leave it about another 15-30 minutes to dry. You just need to gauge your temperatures. You should be spraying it around room temperature, but any colder than that, you might need to leave it slightly longer, but it should still be tacky. 3 coats overall, and once that's done, we're going to leave it 24 hours to cure properly before flipping it over and doing the inside. Now, we should still have some lacquer on the inside because of the overspray, but effectively, we just want to do exactly the same process again, topping it up. If you get any bubbles, any runs or anything like that, don't worry too much. You can rub this out afterwards. If you get any bubbles, any runs, don't worry too much. You can polish this out afterwards, but effectively you just want to make sure you have a decent coverage over the whole thing at a consistent level as well. So it's a nice sheen across the whole wheel. Alright, to say I'm pissed off is an understatement. Let's have a look what's going on with these wheels, shall we? As you can see, this lacquer is instantly stripping the paint from the wheels. It's gone into all of the grooves and lifted the paint up there. It's ripping up all the paint along the edges, and the wheel actually in itself has started going back to primer underneath. I went slightly heavier on this wheel, and this wheel, it's doing exactly the same thing, just not quite as advanced yet, but effectively it's stripping all of the paint from the finest areas and just lifting. There you go, you can see it clearly there. This is only after 2 coats. For a professional finish, used with art primers and spray paints. Well, that's bull, isn't it? Fuming. These wheels have been a pain in the arse. Do it again. Okay, let's try this again, shall we? I've gone and got more lacquer. I'm getting impatient now, so I just picked up the first U-Pol that I could find. This is recommended by actually one of our followers, and I have used it before on the bodywork on the Z3. They do a few different versions. Some of them are a little bit better for wheels than others, a bit more resistant to stone chips. But this shouldn't have any problems. It is literally just U-Pol clear, UV resistant, not that that really matters on these. I'm going to do 2 coats with this. I'm only doing it on the one wheel for now, so I can test whether this is actually going to f***ing work. But yeah, fingers crossed, I've got the right product this time. Let's find out. So these are the wheels that got upped up by that previous lacquer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take them back with a fine grit, just rough it up a little bit, go over it with probably another 2 coats of silver paint, and then lacquer it up. So I thought I was done with sanding, to be honest with you. Apparently not. Okay, it is now 2 weeks later and those wheels are completely finished. Once the lacquer was touch dry, I took them inside, I let them cure properly, took around about 4 or 5 days, and then I've actually gone over it since with some auto glim resin polish, just to make sure the sheen was sort of consistent across all 4 wheels. Completely unnecessary, but they look awesome. Honestly, I'd be so curious to get your opinions on how this has turned out, because I didn't think for a million years they would look quite as good as they do. I thought it'd be quite obvious that it was a rattle can as opposed to, you know, a proper sort of compressor gun job, but I'm really, really impressed. I put them up on Facebook Marketplace and eBay. They actually then sold within 24 hours for £190. Now, that was such a relief, because I'll be honest, I had a horrible feeling I was going to end up getting stuck with these wheels, in which case they'd have been in the background of all the next videos with no explanation whatsoever. But yeah, they sold really quickly. I probably could have asked for a little bit more than 190, but bear in mind again, rattle can amateur job, you know, I'm not asking top dollar for them, so I think the price was pretty fair. So what that means is, taking into account the £40 that I originally spent on the wheels, around about £40 to £50 worth of materials. I did also already have some of them, but I factored that into that price as well. But the lacquer, the sandpaper, the sprays, and then take out the eBay fees as well, I'm probably on around about £100 worth of profit. I've just missed my junction. Anyway, what that means is I'm around about £100 in profit. So the long and short of it is, yes, you can absolutely buy cheap wheels, refurb them at home and make a profit on them. Was it worth it? No. Not even close to worth it. It has been an absolute graft. Fortunately, I had a bit of time on my hands in the evenings, but that needs to be factored in. The man hours alone on this have been pretty hefty. Have I had fun doing it though? No, I haven't had fun either, to be honest. This has been a graft. If you've enjoyed this video, or if you've got any ideas for another flip, then drop us a comment, let us know. If you're new to the channel and you've watched this far, you're now 15 minutes in, so consider dropping us a sub. We've got really, really exciting things going on this year, as per usual, so you're going to want to stick around for that. Much more exciting than me sanding a bit of metal in the garage. So other than that, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.